We, the members of the Polk County Sheriff's Office, are committed to excellence in providing law enforcement, detention, and public safety services. In partnership with our community, we will serve with integrity, compassion, accountability, and professionalism.
May 11, 2023. 10th Judicial Circuit Officer Involved Deadly Incident Task Force investigates. Lakeland Police Department Officer Involved Shooting. The 10th Judicial Circuit Officer Involved Deadly Incident Task Force is investigating a Lakeland Police Department Officer Involved shooting that occurred in the Kettles Avenue area in Lakeland Wednesday afternoon, May 10, 2023 at approximately 5:16 p.m. According to information and evidence gathered at the scene, along with interviews with witnesses and officers by Polk County Sheriff's Office detectives, Lakeland Police Officer Jamie Smith responded to the report of a dangerous shooting near Lincoln Avenue in Lakeland. When he arrived in his marked patrol vehicle, the suspect, 13-year-old Wesley Dalmas of Lakeland, was in the roadway and entering the back passenger side of a white Dodge Avenger. Officer Smith yelled for Dalmas to stop, but Dalmas ignored the command and got into the Dodge. There were two others in the vehicle, the driver, 19-year-old Jermaine Julian of Lakeland, and front passenger, 14-year-old Leonard Spate, Jr. of Lakeland. The car sped away from the scene, driving east on Lincoln Avenue and the turning south on Kettles Avenue, where all three suspects exited the vehicle while it was still in motion. The unoccupied Dodge ultimately struck a white sedan on Kettles Avenue before coming to a stop. Dalmas, Julian, and Spate ran into an apartment complex on Kettles Avenue. Dalmas ran east through the northern part of the apartment complex still holding a firearm. Officer Smith instructed Dalmas to drop it, but he refused and continued to run away. Officer Smith pursued Dalmas around a building. As Officer Smith rounded the corner, Dalmas turned around and fired toward Officer Smith, striking him once in the foot. Dalmas again fled and concealed himself in heavy bushes on the south side of a building in the apartment complex. When Officer Smith passed the bushes where Dalmas had hidden, Dalmas exited the bushes. Officer Smith again ordered Dalmas to drop the firearm, which he again refused to do, forcing Officer Smith to shoot Dalmas. Dalmas fell to the ground and was taken into custody. Dalmas had a 9mm semi-automatic firearm in his possession at the time of his arrest. Julian and Spate were both taken into custody soon after. Julian told detectives he, Dalmas, and Spate were out looking for a target of opportunity when they saw an unknown man walking on the sidewalk. They then exited the Dodge and began shooting at the man. No victim has been identified at this time. During a search of the Dodge, a 9mm handgun was located under the front passenger seat where Spate was sitting, as well as several spent ammunition casings around the passenger seat. Wesley Dalmas was arrested for attempted first-degree murder, resisting arrest with violence, resisting arrest, discharge of a firearm in public, improper exhibition of a firearm, violation of probation. Dalmas is currently in the hospital and being treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Upon release from the hospital, he will be transported to the Juvenile Assessment Center. At the time of his arrest, he was on probation for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, attempted burglary, unlawful possession of a firearm, and improper exhibition of a firearm. As part of Dalmas' current probation conditions, he was not to have contact with Spate. Jermaine Julian was arrested for attempted first-degree murder, fleeing to elude, leaving the scene of an accident, no valid driver's license, contributing to a minor, 2 counts, tampering with evidence, resisting arrest with violence. Julian was transported to the Polk County Jail. His previous criminal history includes 6 felonies and 3 misdemeanors for theft, carrying a concealed weapon, attempted burglary, trespassing, loitering, failure to appear, and multiple violations of probation. Leonard Spate, Jr. was arrested for attempted first-degree murder, resisting arrest with violence, tampering with evidence, possession of a firearm by a minor under 18 years old. He was transported to the Juvenile Assessment Center. At the time of his arrest, he was on probation for attempted burglary. As part of Spag's current probation conditions, he was not to have contact with Dalmas. Shooting at a law enforcement officer will never be tolerated. This 13-year-old decided to enter the world of adult criminal actions when he shot at Officer Smith. and we will do everything in our power to ensure he is held accountable and charged as an adult. Thankfully, Officer Smith is doing well. Our prayers are with him, his family, and the Lakeland Police Department during his recovery. Grady Judd, Sheriff.
July 3, 2023. 4 arrested, charged with racketeering for organized scheme to steal and resell appliances and building materials from construction sites. Contractor/buyer also arrested. Ringleader also charged with drug trafficking, drugs, guns, and property seized and recovered. On June 20, 2023, the Office of the State Attorney 10th Judicial Circuit filed racketeering charges against 4 suspects who were arrested by the Polk County Sheriff's Office for conspiring together to steal new appliances, cabinetry, and other construction materials from construction sites around Polk County and then sell them to a crooked contractor. The suspects committed 14 confirmed burglaries, depriving victims of approximately $40,000. The investigation began after detectives responded to a burglary that occurred at a house under construction in Auburndale. New cabinets had been stolen from the construction site. A witness saw 2 men putting items into a U-Haul van before driving away. During the course of the investigation, detectives linked numerous thefts at construction sites across Polk County and identified 4 suspects involved in a criminal racketeering enterprise. 51-year-old Alberto Petreca of Dundee. 34-year-old Jeremy Albertson of Haines City. 27-year-old Randall Anderson of Haines City. 47-year-old Benjamin Adams of Davenport. Haines City police officers arrested Albertson and Anderson during a traffic stop. Albertson was driving a U-Haul van containing stainless steel appliances. Albertson told officers that he and Anderson stole the appliances from a house under construction in Poinciana. Albertson also said that he was instructed by his uncle, Alberto Petreca, to steal the appliances at the request of a buyer. The same day, PCSO detectives executed 2 search warrants, one at Petreca's house, 710 Robbie Court, in Dundee, and one at Petreca's storage unit in Haines City, where they recovered appliances, air handlers, and ducting, plywood, and lumber that had been stolen from various construction sites in Polk County. Detectives also seized 89.48 grams of cocaine, 227.92 grams of marijuana, 18 hydrocodone pills, 53 ecstasy pills, 10 handguns, and a rifle from Petreca's house. Petreca admitted to selling drugs from his house for the last 3 years. When asked about the stolen appliances, Petreca told detectives he didn't ask or care how Albertson and Anderson acquired them and suspected they might have been stolen. He also told detectives that his buyer was Benjamin Adams, the owner of BA Investment Team, LLC, and BA Property Team, house remolding and real estate companies. PCSO detectives executed search warrants at 2 properties owned by Adams where they recovered several stolen appliances. Adams told detectives he bought the new appliances from Petreca at scratch and dent prices. He said he was not sure how Petreca was able to sell the items so cheap. However, he believed Petreca may have been using some sort of stolen credit card or fraud to obtain the appliances. The following suspects were arrested. Alberto Petreca was initially arrested and charged with armed trafficking in cocaine, FL. Conspiracy to commit grand theft, F3, 3 counts. Conspiracy to commit burglary, F3, 3 counts. Burglary, F3. Grand theft, F3. Dealing in stolen property, F2, 3 counts. Possession of ecstasy with intent to sell, F2. Possession of amphetamine with intent to sell, F3. Possession of hydrocodone with intent to sell, F2. Possession of marijuana with intent to sell, F3. Possession of Xanax with intent to sell, F3. Possession of a structure to traffic drugs, F2. Possession of a firearm during a felony, F2. Possession of ecstasy, F3. Possession of amphetamine, F3. Possession of hydrocodone, F3. Possession of Xanax, F3. Possession of marijuana over 20 grams, F3. Possession of drug paraphernalia, M1. He was released from the Polk County Jail after paying a $199,000 bond. On June 20, 2023, the Office of the State Attorney 10th Judicial Circuit filed the following additional charges against Petreca. Racketeering, F1. Conspiracy to racketeer, F1. Dealing in stolen property, F1, 14 counts. Burglary, F3, 14 counts. He turned himself into the Polk County Jail. Petreka is currently being held on an additional $112,000 bond. Jeremy Albertson was initially arrested and charged with dealing in stolen property, F2, 6 counts. Conspiracy to commit burglary, F3, 2 counts. Burglary, F2. Grand theft of a construction site, F3, 2 counts. Violation of probation, M2. Due to Albertson violating his probation requirements, he is currently in the Polk County Jail and being held with no bond. On June 20, 2023, the Office of the State Attorney 10th Judicial Circuit filed the following additional charges against Albertson. Racketeering, F1. Conspiracy to racketeer, F1. Dealing in stolen property, F1, 14 counts. Burglary, F3, 14 counts. His previous criminal history includes domestic violence battery, possession of methamphetamine, and soliciting prostitution. Randall Anderson was initially arrested and charged with burglary, F3, 2 counts. Grand theft, F3, 2 counts. Conspiracy to commit grand theft, F3, 2 counts. Conspiracy to commit burglary, F3, 2 counts. He was released from the Polk County Jail after paying a $27,000 bond. On June 20, 2023, the Office of the State Attorney 10th Judicial Circuit filed the following additional charges against Anderson. Racketeering, F1. Conspiracy to racketeer, F1. Dealing in stolen property, F1, 5 counts. Burglary, F3, 5 counts. He turned himself into the Polk County Jail and is being held on an additional $55,000 bond. Benjamin Adams was initially arrested and charged with dealing in stolen property, F2, 3 counts. He was released from the Polk County Jail after paying a $15,000 bond. On June 20, 2023, the Office of the State Attorney 10th Judicial Circuit filed the following additional charges against Adams. Racketeering, F1. Conspiracy to racketeer, F1. Dealing in stolen property, F2, 5 counts. He turned himself into the Polk County Jail where he was later released after paying an additional $45,000 bond. Adams' previous criminal history includes domestic violence battery, criminal mischief, and an 11-year federal prison sentence for conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine. Florida RICO, Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organization, Act. In Florida, FSS Chapter 895 Sections 895.01 to 895.06, a racketeering offense, RICO, occurs when an unlawful organization commits or attempts/solicits/conspires to commit coordinated illegal activities such as murder, money laundering, embezzlement, extortion, weapons offenses, burglary, theft, bribery, and other crimes. In Florida, RICO is charged as a first-degree felony and it can result in 30 years imprisonment and significant monetary fines. The Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organization Act, RICO, was designed to prosecute individuals engaging in organized crime. A person can be charged with racketeering if they engage in a pattern of racketeering such as committing at least 2 racketeering activities within a 10-year period. When thieves steal from construction sites, it affects us all hard-working men and women in construction, home buyers, and consumers. I am proud of my detectives for stopping this criminal organization and recovering tens of thousands of dollars in stolen items. But we also need the help of those in the construction industry. Securing materials, locking everything up before leaving a site for the day, and reporting suspicious activity is important to prevent construction site theft. Grady Judd, Sheriff. Equality before the law, also known as equality under the law. Equality in the eyes of the law, legal equality, or legal egalitarianism, is the principle that all people must be equally protected by the law. The rule of law is a political ideal that all citizens and institutions within a country, state, or community are accountable to the same laws, including lawmakers and leaders. It is sometimes stated simply as no one is above the law.